All right. Joining us now, the aforementioned Charlie Hurt, co-host of Fox and Friends Weekend, Miranda Devine, ace New York Post columnist and a Fox News contributor, and Caroline Downey, National Review columnist. So thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. So, Miranda, it was interesting, Bernie Sanders. I want to come to this sort of odd point in the whole narrative. Bernie Sanders comparing today to the Civil War. I don't understand any of that stuff. He says he's from Vermont, but he's really from Brooklyn. But the fact that there is a war going on in Portland, Oregon, and it is a war where these far-left groups, Antifa and others, are stopping ICE and other law enforcement authorities from doing their job, which is to bust and deport criminals. Now, that's what I call a war. And I guess it's a civil war because it's inside the United States. Now, it's odd to me, none of the Democrats are even talking about that. It's not on their radar screen. They're just letting it happen. No problem. Let's just have a war in Seattle and in Portland. And by the way, it'll spread to Seattle, too, just like it did during the so-called Summer of Love in 2020. So what's wrong with these Democrats?
Well, I mean, they've caused the so-called civil war within law enforcement in Portland because the Democrat mayor is the boss of the local Portland police, and they are deliberately not helping ICE, and in fact, they're obstructing. So there are reports now, Bill Malugin on Fox had some of it, showing that the local police, what they're doing is they are interviewing and taking witness complaints from Antifa after they've been maced or whatever by the ICE agents, after they've been violent and had to be dealt with. And so what they're doing is actively obstructing. The other night, there was a journalist, a citizen journalist. She was attacked by an Antifa person. She got a black eye. She followed the person. She told the cops. She stood there and waited for the cops to do something. A cop was there. Cop did nothing. Last night, another citizen journalist, a guy called Nick Sauter, he pulls a burning flag from Antifa people, stamps it out, gets arrested by the same Portland police who ignored the other journalist who got a black eye. So good on the DOJ. Harmeet Dillon, Civil Rights, is going to go in there and do an investigation because this is the Democrats declaring war against the federal government.
That's a crisis.
That is a crisis.
I mean, that is what I would call a crisis right here in the continental U.S.
Yeah.
And they don't mention anything about that. Nobody bothers to stand up to these. No one bothers in the Democratic Party to stand in favor of the cops. Cops, in this case, it's ICE, but whatever.
They're in favor of Antifa.
Show me a blue line, right.
Antifa is their street militia.
So, Charlie, you know where Brooklyn is, right?
I've heard of it.
You've heard of Brooklyn. Hakeem is from Brooklyn. Chuck Schumer is from Brooklyn. Bernie Sanders, honorary member. He was born and raised in Brooklyn. Wouldn't really say, I don't want to offend Brooklynites, but I wouldn't really say Brooklyn is kind of symbolic or representative of the rest of the United States. And you've got the two major Democratic leaders from the same ultra-blue county inside the same ultra-blue state. No wonder they don't understand what the world. And on top of that, Greg Gutfeld gets a better crowd than Hakeem Jeffries does. Jeffries couldn't even fill Little League field, for heaven's sakes. That whole thing was a fiasco, a farce. They never had more than 400 people on the whole YouTube call, whatever it was. Viewers, I don't understand this stuff.
That's a very generous low bar you're setting for Hakeem.
The Gutfeld one, I know.
The Gutfeld bar.
And I do it deliberately, and I expect him to be texting me in about 5 minutes.
Or he's just going to, he will respond tonight at 11. Tune in, or 10. I think it's such an interesting point that you make about the leadership of the Democrat Party, and also specifically about Bernie Sanders, who, as you say, is from Brooklyn, who used to have a 100% rating, A+ rating, from the National Rifle Association. And of course, he has completely frittered that away because of his party. The other thing that I think is kind of interesting, remember when Nancy Pelosi, who is from San Francisco, albeit, she was the far left loony wing of her party. She is now the conservative wing of her party. The entire party has gone so far left that Nancy Pelosi, even she can't sort of keep the cats herded. And that's where you wind up with the situation, as Miranda points out, where even if you don't, and I think that Democrat officials out in Oregon deserve blame for all of this. But even if you didn't, Democrat lawmakers around the country are encouraging all of this, just like they encouraged the Summer of Love.
Yeah.
They helped inspire it, and they encouraged it every step of the way. And I think that President Trump learned a very valuable lesson. And I think that he was hurt politically by not taking a more forceful hand with the Summer of Love. And he's like, we're not doing that. I'm going to protect my cities this time. And that's what he's doing. And God bless him for doing it.
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi, you know, at one point she auditioned for Fox Business. I mean, she has one of the best investment track records in history.
Yes.
Her rate of return on her stock portfolio while she was in office, she would have put us all to shame. You know what I mean?
You know, there's a software where you can actually track her stock
I
portfolio
do.
and model it exactly.
It's huge.
Yes,
No,
I think
she has
it's
a
brilliant.
tremendous following.
I'll
She has
be
a
in
much
lockstep.
bigger following than Hakeem Jeffries'
Yes.
goofy YouTube thing, whatever that was,
No, I
that
mean-
couldn't draw better than 400 people. In Englewood, New Jersey, we had a bigger Little League field, but I digress.
She's the kingmaker of the Democratic Party, to your point, and she's one of the elders. And I think the real civil war, of course, you know, Bernie Sanders is being hyperbolic about that, is within the Democratic Party leadership
Yes.
itself. Because Chuck Schumer, he's still reeling from the backlash he got from within his own party from after he helped Senate Republicans clear the filibuster in March to get past the government shutdown. And I think he's scared of the radical left-wing fringe of his own party. He knows that his political days may be numbered with AOC and Mamdani gaining all this momentum. And you know, they're clearly tapping into the zeitgeist of the Democratic moment, whatever that may be.
But all the zeitgeist is to spend another $1 trillion
Well, yes.
on failed health care programs.
And that's
For illegal aliens.
And that's
And basically, yes, for illegal aliens,
Yes.
but basically at the root of this, we're going to talk to Kim Strassel, Wall Street Journal, later on in the show. Basically, this is about bailing out, expanding Obamacare. Okay, I mean, this really, when you look at the numbers here, the biggest chunk of this, and it was COVID-type subsidies, and all these insurance companies, of course, they love these bailouts, and they've all turned Democrat because they're getting it's going right into their pockets.
Absolutely.
But I don't think it's doing them any good. I mean, you say Schumer's got a problem, Jeffries has a problem. You know, here's their problem. They're in the minority. They're in the minority. And not only are they in the minority, they have a tough president, and they're both from Brooklyn. I say this Brooklyn thing, you know, Brooklyn's a lovely place, at least parts of Brooklyn. But it shows you how narrow-minded and far left they are. Brooklyn is a very left-wing county. And no one's going to dispute that. I'm not alienating, disrespecting.
I love it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
The fact is, but that's what they're left with. They have nothing. I mean, you think this is going to help them next year?
No, I mean, as for who gets blamed for the shutdown, I think the American people, and the polling backs this up, they see that this is a minority party throwing a tantrum over a grab bag of goodies, trying to prevent the duly elected sitting president of the United States from implementing his mandate, from his agenda. And you're totally right that it's about Obamacare, which was
That's really
pitched
what
as,
this is.
about affordable health care for low-income Americans. But I think their behavior has proven that Obamacare is a money pit. They want it to be funded in perpetuity. What
That's
they're
right. That's right.
objecting to right now is an extension of a subsidy that was supposed to be temporary from the COVID era and the American Rescue Plan. Wasn't supposed to be permanent. It wasn't even a part of the original Obamacare law. It's something completely supplementary. And I think Republicans would be very foolish to give an inch and concede on these extensions of these benefits because they're being dishonest about
Is COVID over?
it. Yes, it's very much over, Larry.
I think most people know it. Most people would acknowledge that
Yeah.
COVID's over. I don't
Yeah.
regard that as an inflammatory statement.
No, it's not.
Only in certain circles from Brooklyn, New York. Let me go back to this other matter, though. Miranda, you have a chance, the President of the United States, has an opportunity. You may not love shutdowns, right? I don't know what his opinion is about the shutdown. I have not talked to him about it. He has an opportunity, however, to remodel the federal government, perhaps in the largest fashion in 100 years. Honestly, you got to make the non-essentials non-essential, permanently non-essential. There's a reason they're called non-essential, right? I've been through several shutdowns, including the one in 2019, 35. I was through Reagan's shutdown. Look, non-essential means non-essential. Why are they still there? And I think Russ Vought is ready to rock and roll on this point, and programs that are staffed by the non-essentials, why those programs become non-essential, if you ask me. None of it's mandated. None of it's Social Security or Medicare, Medicaid for that matter. This stuff is all discretionary, shouldn't be there in the first place. It's a lot of flotsam and jetsam. Get rid of it. This is the president's chance.
I love it. I mean, your point is very good. I was sort of quite happy that he was cutting some green programs here and there, and but no, why not go big and do it all? I think he's going to get blamed anyway. The people who hate him are going to say that he's causing chaos and that's his fault, even though it's obviously Chuck Schumer's shutdown. But as Charlie said, he was punished at the polls for looking weak in the face of the Summer of Love. And the Democrats' MO is to create chaos and mayhem, whether it's with the government shutdown or what's going on in Portland, and then say, look, voters, anytime Donald Trump's in charge, there's chaos and mayhem. Obviously, it must be his fault. I think we're over that. I think people realize that the Democrats only allow us to live in peace when they get their way.
Yeah, that's a good point. Charlie, you know, I don't want to gloss over it. We don't have as much information as I'd like. But if Hamas is releasing all the prisoners, right? It's a big if. I don't know all the facts here. I don't know if they've agreed to the 21-point peace plan. I'm not sure they have much choice in the matter because Israel will take over if they don't, and the wrath of God will fall upon them. But it will be a victory for Trump. He was the guy who essentially was central to negotiating this peace plan and the final return of the hostages. And I don't want to demean that story, but I just want to say, on the day that Hamas could be returning all the hostages and agreeing to some peace plan, not that I trust Hamas at all, the fact of the matter is the stock market has had a perfectly marvelous week. In the middle of shutdown, gloom and doom, and yelping and crying and screaming and, you know, YouTube Little League fields and all the rest of that stuff that we're kidding about. The fact of the matter is the stock market is telling you the economy is doing great under Trumponomics, shutdown or not. And by the way, Mr. Trump deserves about 3 different Nobel Peace Prizes. One of them could well be for this Hamas Middle East Israel story.
And of course, you know, until the ink was dried, the media and everybody else in the world was belittling the Abraham Accords. And then, you know, voila, we had probably the most significant strive towards peace in the Middle East, certainly in my lifetime. And I wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, you know, there's some really big questions here. Like, what do you do with Hamas? How do you eliminate Hamas? Because Hamas can't be any part of any of this. But you know, my view of this is I'm willing to give the guy some breathing room here. I have a whole lot more faith in his ability to come at this and look at it in a completely new way and unlock you know, cut through the Gordian knot and come up with a solution that works, unlike every single expert before him, including, you know, Joe Biden and John Kerry, the 2 greatest foreign policy minds America ever invented.
And let's face it, presidents in this has beguiled presidents in both parties. Trump's the guy that sort of broke through the red tape, if you will. I mean, he's just getting
just looking
this
at
done.
it differently.
I mean, and by the way, one way he did this was not only to stop a phony, fake peace deal with Iran, which in some sense was the, you know, the center of all the evil, but he was willing to use, wait for it, violence. He was using the military, not only ours, but Israel's as well, right? That's a big thing.
Also operating from a point of America first, what America's best interests were, which nobody else does. Everybody else wants to go over there pretending they're all charitable about everything, and nobody wants to deal with them. But Trump is like, no, this is what I want, and this is why I want it, because it's good for my country. And people start to trust you then.
Yes, thank you for that. I can't leave without showing the new Trump coins. They're a dollar coin. Is that what it is? I believe we have pictures. There's 2 issues out there. This is not crypto. You can actually hold. There's one of the coins if you can have a look at it. And then there's a second coin as well. We're going to Wait for it. There it is. Wait
Can you
for
spend
it.
that?
Huh?
Can you spend that in a store?
Is that real currency?
Look, if it's got his picture on it, it's legal tender.
You think Nancy Pelosi is collecting these?
Legal tender. Are you kidding? She will invest in it. It's going to be hot as can be.
We should go to Brooklyn and buy everything there with them.
Well, we've got a spot for her on Fox Business. Anyway, Miranda Devine, thank you very much. Caroline Downey, we appreciate it. Charlie Hurt.